Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Hollywood Park. It sure is nice to see people here. Kind of like the old days today with people on track, which is the only place to see horse racing, in my opinion. Thanks to all of you for coming out today. Really good card, 10 races on the program. The great Zenyatta shoots for her 19th straight win in the Ladies' Secret. We've got 4 Grade 1 stakes. We almost had a pick 6 carryover. There was one ticket yesterday good for $60,000, so we start from scratch in the pick 6, and that will be from races 5 through 10. There are also some great simulcast racing from around the country today, especially at Belmont Park. We're going to discuss some of those races and hone in on the races here at Hollywood Park. My very special guest this afternoon, Andrew Beyer from the Washington Post, long-time horse racing writer. In fact, the guy I grew up reading. And Andy, thank you for coming today.
There's some Zenyatta fans.
A few here and there. Okay, on to the Ladies' Secret, where we see the great Zenyatta, despite opinions to the contrary. Field of 6, going a mile and 16, 18th running, $40 million purse. Now she's going for her 19th straight today, and she's going to attempt to tie Pepper's Pride, the New Mexico bred. Now, Andy, I know some things stick in your craw. One that sticks in my craw is people who are trying to say that Pepper's Pride doesn't hold the record because they were against New Mexico breds. She holds the record. 19 wins is 19 wins. You can't start delineating, well, she ran against state breds, she didn't run here, run there. 19 for 19 is 19 for 19, and Pepper's Pride holds the records. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, and you know, regardless of where you're doing it, I mean, this is, it's an incredible feat to string together a winning streak like this. Listen, I've watched all the great horses in America for the last 40 years. Nobody has done this, and there are so many pitfalls in racing that from Secretariat to Cigar, Citation,
they all lost.
They all ran into some circumstance, whether it was an off track, whether it was an ill-judged ride, where they couldn't overcome all the circumstances. So, I mean, although I got the expected, smattering of booze here when
probably more a smattering was
mentioned. But this is, particularly for a horse with her style, who comes from so far behind, to have not made a mistake, or for Mike Smith not to have made a mistake, really is incredible.
Well, and on top of that, Andy, I think something that's overlooked a lot of times, especially if you're not here every day like we are, when you see what can happen to horses, forget on the racetrack. Horses kick stalls in the morning, horses get very sick, horses have physical ailments, horses get sour, especially mares, for no reason. Horses get minor injuries. I don't know if John Sheriffs has fully gotten the credit he deserves. I mean, I know he has a great mare, but when you watch people work with horses on a daily basis, I've done it for 23 years. Andy's done it a lot longer than I have. To me, Andy, that's maybe the most amazing thing of the whole deal, the job John and his crew at the barn have done with this animal.
Yeah, I mean, you can always, plenty of people have second-guessed him or criticized him, for taking, such a conservative path with her. But if she,
I don't know, it wasn't too conservative to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic against the boys.
But that was her, that was her one venturesome shot. But if she if she runs and wins on the dirt, at Churchill, she's answered all the questions. But I think that they, I would have liked to have seen them take other, meaningful shots on the dirt. I thought that they, if they had run against Rachel Alexandra this summer, she probably would have knocked her off, with Rachel going downhill. So, but listen, you manage a horse flawlessly. You can't second-guess a trainer too much.
I'll play devil's advocate with you on greatness. I don't think it's that big a deal on surfaces. John Henry was a great horse. He didn't win that many races on dirt. But I understand your point in the synthetics. But I'm a huge baseball fan. It's probably the only sport I like better than horse racing. I enjoy watching more. And the best team I've seen in the past 30, 40 years was the 1976 Cincinnati Reds. Hands down the best team I've seen. 102 wins, swept the Phillies in the playoffs, swept the Yankees in 4 games. A little known fact, unless you're a baseball addict like I am, is in the World Series that year, they only used 9 position players. There was a DH. No bench players played. The 9 guys played every game. They swept the Yankees. Okay, here's my point. It may be a little reach, but I'm going to try it out on Andy and see what he thinks. Cincinnati Reds in those years played on artificial turf in a bad baseball stadium named Riverfront Stadium. Most of their wins were on artificial turf because the Phillies played on artificial turf, the Expos, a lot of those teams played on artificial turf. Some of their wins were on grass and dirt. I don't know why surfaces take away from the greatness of a baseball team or a horse, whether you win on dirt, turf, synthetic. I don't delineate that much, Andy. Obviously you do. I'm using the baseball analogy just to say that a greatness to me is greatness, and whether it's done on dirt, turf, synthetic, artificial turf, a baseball diamond with real dirt, I don't place that much emphasis. Why do you place so much emphasis on that?
Because the whole history of American racing has done so, and our horses are recognized as great horses based largely on their dirt performance. A few years ago, the Blood Horse did a poll of experts to rate the top greatest horses of all time. And there was not, to my surprise, there was not an American kind of overwhelmingly, not an American turf horse without top-level form on the dirt in the top 70. So that underscores, that this country views dirt as our standard. I mean, turf racing has been around for 300 years, and if we don't give historians don't give turf races, that credit. Synthetics, don't have a very long pedigree. I mean, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say there's a horse in California who was like the best turf sprinter you've ever seen. Down the hill at Santa Anita is unbeaten, and wins 20 in a row. What do you say about this horse? Is he or she one of the all-time greats, or do you say this is a great turf sprinter?
Say she's a great turf sprinter,
right?
Or he or she's a great turf sprinter.
My assessment of Zenyatta, then, she is the greatest synthetic track horse ever, and she has to prove herself on the dirt.
But no turf sprinter would win 9 grade 1s in a row. Grade 1s are grade 1s in American racing. You can't have it both ways. You can't say because it was dirt, they're grade 1s, and now they're not because they're synthetic. They're either or they aren't.
Well, listen, I want to see her win number 19 today, and I think we're going to have like an incredible moment of drama next month. And I'd love to see her do something fantastic.
Yeah.
We were watching. I came out here for the premiere of Secretariat, and I was covering all his races, and to see a horse that you say this is one of the greatest we've ever seen. This is why we're racing fans. But in her case, I got to see it next month.
Well, and the great thing too, and that's what makes this game so fantastic. Maybe we can differ in opinions. It doesn't really matter. It's all opinion anyway, and that's what makes it great. That's why we come out so we can bet. Think we're smarter than the other person and cash a ticket. Speaking of cash and tickets, she's going to win. Who's going to be second?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Because we know that Zenyatta. Her style is to cut it close and to make that late run. And the fact that many times she wins by a head or a length,
she has to.
Moderate figure, it doesn't matter because that's how she does it. Last time, when she made that late run, I thought that. It looked to me like she was working harder than she usually has to work, to get past Winterval when she'd collared the leader. Is this a sign of a chink in her armor? You're the local expert, so I'm asking.
This is strictly my opinion, Andy. I think, they weren't too keen on running at Delmar to begin with. Let's face it, all the surfaces around that can be a real bog down there. That track is very, very funny. I don't think she was close to 100% for that race, and I think John Sheriff did that by design. I think he thought he could go down there and beat these other horses who, I agree with you, are second-tier horses. They're not grade 1 horses that she beat down there. I think they did just enough to win. Now, what I think Andy's going to happen, and I've watched her, seen almost every one of her starts in person except for the Oaklawn races. I think she's going to blow the field away today and then do the same thing at Breeders' Cup. And this is not from a rooting standpoint. This is from analyzing a trainer and what he's doing with a mare. He knows this is it. There's 2 races left. There's no nursing along or saving something in the tank or keeping her fit for next year. This is it. There's 2 races left, and I think They want to make a statement and blow 2 fields away. Now, whether they can do that, I'm not saying she will do that. That's what I think their approach is to today and the Breeders' Cup, is to let her rip 90% today and then 100 on Breeders' Cup Day. I don't think she's run her 100% race yet, just from watching what they've done with her.
Also today, she's got enough, for once, she's got a fair amount of speed in this field to kind of set it up.
Right.
But, regarding her 100% effort, she's got to be 100% against the horses she's going to be facing. This is no 90% is going to do it for anybody.
So we will see what happens in today's Ladies' Secret. And we didn't ever answer who's second. I mean, I think Exactus Coldane. I think Switch is the second best horse in a race, and I'd be hard pressed to make a case for anybody else. Maybe Moon de French. I don't know. With like the 4 of the contenders being speed types, I wondered, even though it's a long layoff, Satan's a quick chick. If there is a contentious pace, could be the clunker upper for second. But everybody else tries to win.
What are you going to get on an Exacta here?
Good race to watch, and it is part of the late pick.